Hello everyone. In this video, I am going to discuss the 10 most important questions of the topic acids. The very first question that is commonly asked is, differentiate between the organic acids and inorganic acids. So organic acids are the ones which we get from plants and animals. They are less corrosive and are generally edible. For example, we have all heard of lactic acid present in the curd and the citric acid present in the lemon. Whereas the inorganic acids are those which we get from the minerals of the earth. They are comparatively more corrosive and are not edible. To give an example, the hydrochloric acid, which is HCl, the sulfuric acid, which is H2SO4, the nitric acid, which is HNO3. The next question. Name the organic acids present in the following food items. Like the curd, it has lactic acid. Tomatoes, it has oxalic acid. Lemon, it has citric acid. Tamarind, it has tartaric acid. Ant stink. Yes, you would be surprised to know that when an ant stink, it gives an acidic substance in our body, and that acid is methanoic acid. The vinegar which we commonly put on our Chinese food, that has the ethanoic acid, which is commonly called as acetic acid. The next question, question number 3. How do we dilute an acid? Now, this is the most commonly asked question in the exam, that what is the right way to dilute an acid? Should we add water in acid or should we add acid in water? The answer is that we should add acid in water drop by drop and with constant stirring. This is because we all know when acid and water mix together, it's a highly exothermic reaction. And as a result of which, if we do the reverse, that is, if we add water in acid, the heat produced will be so large that that water droplet which comes in contact with acid will immediately form steam that may splash on our face and may cause severe burns. Also, this heat can even break the vessel. So we have to understand that to dilute an acid, we must put acid in water drop by drop with constant stirring. Next question, question number 4. Why is it advised not to keep the acidic food in the metallic containers? Yes, you would be surprised to know that our great-grandmothers never used to put curd in a metallic container because the curd has lactic acid in it, and it is advised not to keep the acidic food in metallic containers. This is because the metals react with the acid present in our food, and this will form the poisonous salt which can cause food poisoning and can damage our health. Besides that, you should also know that this salt which is formed can even lead to the corrosion of the vessel. So therefore, it is advised not to keep the acidic food in metallic container. To support your answer, we can also write that metal plus acid gives us salt and hydrogen gas. I have already discussed the test of hydrogen gas in my previous videos of chemical reactions. The next question. Define neutralization. Give an example. Yes, so the reaction between the acid and base to form the salt, water and energy is called as neutralization reaction. For example, HCl is the acid and NaOH is a base. When they react together, we get a common salt, which is sodium chloride, water and energy. Please note that this neutralization reaction is an exothermic process and also a type of displacement reaction in which H is going with OH and Na is going with Cl. So this is a double displacement reaction. The commonly asked question in the exam is neutralization reaction is first exothermic and second double displacement. The next question. What happens when acid reacts with metal oxides? Please remember that metal oxides are basic in nature, and hence when acids react with these basic substances, we get the salt and water along with the energy. This is also a type of neutralization reaction. For example, HCl plus a metal oxide like copper oxide will give you a salt, copper chloride and water. The next very important question. But before we come to this question, we must know what are carbonates and bicarbonates. Carbonates are CO3 and bicarbonates are HCO3. Now the metal carbonates would be when you attach a metal ion with a carbonate. For example, sodium with carbonate will form the sodium carbonate, magnesium with carbonate will form the magnesium carbonate. Now why I have explained you this part is because the acids react with metal carbonates and metal bicarbonates to form the salt, carbon dioxide and water. A very commonly asked question in the board exam. Write a reaction between the hydrochloric acid and a metal carbonate like sodium carbonate. So this is a reaction where HCl reacts with sodium carbonate to form common salt, carbon dioxide and water. This has importance in our body also. You must have heard that people take baking soda when they get a problem of acidity and indigestion. This is because the acidity is due to the hydrochloric acid produced in our stomach, and the baking soda is nothing but the sodium bicarbonate. When the two mix in our stomach, we get the common salt produced in our body plus the burp of carbon dioxide and the water vapor is released, and the person gets relieved from the problem of acidity. To confirm that the gas produced is carbon dioxide, we test the carbon dioxide. So the next commonly asked question is, what is a test of carbon dioxide? We mix this carbon dioxide with the lime water, which is calcium hydroxide, and the milkiness appears due to the formation of calcium carbonate. Please note that is exam question that the milkiness is due to the calcium carbonate. And what will happen if we continue to pass this carbon dioxide through the solution? The milkiness will disappear, because when we continue to pass this carbon dioxide through the solution of calcium carbonate and water, we get calcium bicarbonate, which is soluble in the solution, and hence the milkiness disappears. The next question, what do all acids have in common? Let's go through these equations where HCl dissociates to form H plus and Cl minus, HNO3 dissociate to form H plus and NO3 minus, H2SO4 dissociate to form H plus and SO4 minus. So did you note that all these substances are dissociating in the presence of water to produce hydrogen ions? Yes, these are acids because acids always dissociate in the presence of water to form the hydrogen ions. Now the commonly asked question, why HCl is an acid and why alcohol or glucose is not an acid? They can ask you any of this kind of question. Why X is acid and why Y is not an acid? X is an acid because it is dissociating in the presence of water to produce H plus ions. And Y is not an acid because it does not dissociate in the presence of water to produce H plus ions. Hence, HCl is an acid because it is dissociating in the presence of water to form H plus ions. And alcohol or glucose is not an acid because it is not dissociating in the presence of water to produce H plus ions. The next question, question number 10. Show with the help of an experiment that acids don't show acidic behavior in the absence of water. Yes, they often give you this picture and ask you what is happening in this picture. In the A part, you would see that they have placed a dry litmus paper above the test tube, while in the second part, you will see that they have placed a moist litmus paper above the test tube. Now, why they have done so? When the two reactants react in this test tube, then the hydrochloric gas is produced. Now, since the gas is dry and if the litmus paper is also dry, there will be no change in the color. Whereas, if we have taken a moist litmus paper, now the color change is observed. This is because the dry HCl gas do not show the color change in the dry litmus paper because acids don't show their acidic behavior in the absence of water. Whereas the dry HCl gas change the color of the moist blue litmus paper because acids show their acidic behavior only in the presence of water. This is due to the formation of hydronium ions. So this was an activity-based question. The last question, differentiate between the strong acids and weak acids. Now please understand the concept. The acids were those which dissociate in the presence of water to form the H plus ions. And those acids which dissociate completely produce large number of H plus ions and hence are more corrosive would be the strong acids. And the one which dissociate partly will produce less number of H plus ions and are less corrosive will be considered as weak acids. To give few examples of the strong acids and weak acids, please note that the strong acids are HCl, H2SO4, HNO3. And the weak acids are ethanoic acid, which is CH3COOH, methanoic acid, which is HCOOH, and carbonic acid, which is H2CO3. So this was Sakshi Khattar and I will be covering the bases in my next video. Stay tuned.